Everton have made the bold decision of sacking Sean Dyche. He's been at the helm now for a couple of years. He's done decent in his time there. He did what was expected of him in the way that he kept Everton up. He's developed a few players, but they currently sit 16th in the Premier League table. They've not won a game. Sorry, they've won one game in 12. Very poor. That is relegation form. At the time of recording, it looks like David Moyes is set to return to Everton and become their next manager. It's an appointment which definitely makes sense. But I want to dissect a little bit Dyche's time at Everton, whether it's a fair sacking, whether they're going to get even worse now he's gone. So, first off, I just want to look at their lineup. You look at that back four. James Tarkowski at the back, he had him at Burnley. He's he's the wrong side of 30 now. He's a leader at the back, but he's not necessarily going to walk into many Premier League teams. He's an okay player. He'll fight for the ball. His distribution's okay, but he's definitely a Dyche sort of player. Ashley Young at right back, close to 40 years old. Former a winger, now he's a fullback, and it's a weird one because he's got Premier League experience, but he's old. He's not as mobile as he used to be. He's got game management know-how, but what other team in the Premier League, or maybe Southampton, Ipswich, are going to be starting Ashley Young? Jared Branthwaite at centre back, decent player, going to go on to better things in his career, and he was touted with joining the likes of Manchester United, so definitely a good player there. Mikalenko at left back. I don't rate him really as a player. He gets run around a lot. There's a reason why they've tried to replace him, and I don't feel like he's. Again, when you compare other Premier League teams starting 11 to Everton's, Mikalenko doesn't really start for many teams. Mangala and Idrissa Gana Gueye at CDM, average as it comes. Right wing, against Bournemouth, they started Lindstrom, a player who came from Syria. Not really done much at all since he's joined. Dyche has been reluctant to play him, and funnily enough, as soon as he plays him, he gets the sack. Doucouré at cam is a box-to-box 8 who's playing in a bit more of an attacking position. I reckon he's a decent player, but again, he doesn't really start for that many Premier League teams when you think about it. Iliman Ndiaye is probably their star player at left wing, signed him from Marseille for 20 million. I've watched a lot of him. I feel like he's going to, walk into a Champions League squad in a year or two. I reckon he's that good. Up front, the starters are Armando Broja. They've obviously got Beto, who's off potentially, and they've also got Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Currently sitting 16th in the Premier League. In terms of how much money they've spent, they probably are about the 16th most expensive squad in the league. And you can't really argue that Dyche has performed to his budget. And Everton have sacked him. Potentially, yeah, because they've won one game in 12. And that win was a 4-0 win at home to Everton. To Wolves. The previous result that they won was a win against Ipswich. And then they've had quite a few draws in that time. There's a reason why they're not in the relegation zone. They are still picking up points. But do they just need a bit of a reset at that club? For a lot of his time at Everton, they've been playing Tarkowski and Michael Keane at centre-back. They've been Sean Dyche's go-to centre-back pairing for like 10 years now since he was at Burnley, and obviously since he's come to Everton. I feel like David Moyes, if he comes in, he'll get them playing a bit different. Dyche, obviously, a part of him will probably be saying to that James Tarkowski, you know what to do. Maybe a different tactical direction will make the players feel a bit more hungry, want to play a bit more. And David Moyes is a manager who took West Ham to Europe. Yes, their fans hounded him out. Unfairly, yeah, because they've just got rid of Julian Lopetegui, the replacement who was meant to come in and improve him even more. Shows how much of a good job David Moyes was doing. And a lot of people have been saying how good of a coach David Moyes is. There's a manager, I'm not 100% sure who it is. I think he's just gone to like a Championship or League One club who spoke very highly of David Moyes. Kevin Nolan, because he's just gone to a League Two club as a manager. And he spoke very highly of David Moyes. And David Moyes is like what? Not far off. He's like mid-60s. He's going to come in and he'll do well. He'll keep them up. You can clip this for sure because I reckon he'll keep them up. But their squad just isn't that strong. Luckily, they've got Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich, Wolves all below them who are performing very, very poorly in this division. And it very much feels at the moment like them bottom five, that I've just listed alongside Everton are the ones who are going to be there to stay for the rest of the season. The teams above them, there's a batch of about 12 teams all pushing for mid-table to 7th, and it's pretty crazy how the Premier League is at the moment, because it's clear that there's more of a divide than ever between the Championship and the Premier League. And then there's always a batch of clubs who, unless you spend a ridiculous amount of money like Forest have done, like Bournemouth have done, like Fulham have done, to push your way up the table, you're just going to keep yo-yoing. And Everton are one of the only clubs who have stayed in the Premier League for a sustained period of time, but regularly look relegation threatened. Part of that is down to the ownership situation. We all know that Everton's owners want to sell up. Have they been bought? Excuse me for not knowing that. They may have been bought. They've obviously got the new stadium being built. That's been flooded a couple of times. They've not even opened it. What's going on there? So, as a club, things are looking better. Dyche, for Moyes, it's going to be a similar style of football. It's going to be boring. It's going to be direct. Everton fans are used to that. But as I say, a change in tactical and coaching direction slightly from David Moyes might do the squad some good. I feel like a player like Dominic Calvert-Lewin could really improve. I feel like Beto could get a run of games potentially. I look at that bench. Jack Harrison, we all know that he's a decent Premier League player. Jake O'Brien, he signed from Lyon last season, I think it was. They've barely even played the kid. Might be a good player, but I also trust Sean Dyche's judgment that he's not that good. But as I say, Tarkowski and Michael Keane are his boys, so he's going to start them at centre-back as much as he can, other than when a player like Jared Branthwaite has to start ahead of Michael Keane in this situation. So, in the XG table, let's just take a look at that quickly. Yeah, they're sitting in 16th for that as well. Is it a shock? No. So as I say, they're literally performing exactly to standard. The underlying numbers are suggesting that as well. Is it going to be another year this year where the promoted teams are relegated again? I feel like that is very much on the cards as well. Southampton, they're already down. Sorry, Saints fans, you know it already. Leicester, they don't look good. They look pretty toothless. They're a very boring side. I feel like Steve Cooper was doing a better job than what Ruud van Nistelrooy is doing. And then Ipswich, I feel like they're the most likely to stay up, and the table suggests that as well. They might do it. They're a level on points with Wolves. They're a couple of points behind Everton. So, let me know down in the comments. 1, was it fair to sack Sean Dyche? I think it was. As much as I've backed him up, I feel like a change in direction will be good for the club. 2, is it a good appointment to get David Moyes? I think it is. Premier League know-how, a slight change in direction, a bit of a different coaching setup. Obviously, he knows the club, which in some situations that can be a good thing, but I feel like overall it's a bit of an overrated stat, but he does know the club. So let me know down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.